So now that the crowds are starting to be attracted to him, you have a couple of different sides of that. You have some people who are seeking him out because they're looking for hope. They're looking for a miracle. They need a healing or something to happen in their lives. That's one group of people that are seeking him out. And the other group of people, as we talked about last week, is people who view him with a suspicious eye. They're fault-finding everything that Jesus does. They're criticizing Jesus even for who he's hanging out with. So he's been calling his disciples, and a first century Jewish person might reasonably expect Jesus to recruit priests or scribes, people who wrote down the Bible all day long. Or maybe they would expect Pharisees, like the rabbis of the day, or respected elders. They would expect respected, kind of upper crust people to be the ones that are following Jesus. But what they begin to see is kind of the opposite happening. From what we're told in the narratives, we've seen Jesus recruit a bunch of just regular working class guys. So far, he's got 4 fishermen, and he's got a couple of guys that we know their names. We don't even know what they did. It was like Nathaniel and Philip. We don't have much of a trace of who they were before Jesus. All that to say that this is not like your ministry all-star team that Jesus is putting together. This is shown actually a little bit later on in the book of Acts. The rulers, the religious rulers, they bring the disciples before them and they're questioning them about a healing that has happened. And this is what they say about those followers of Jesus. Acts 4 verse 13. When they saw, the religious leaders, the courage of Peter and John, and they realized that they were unschooled, ordinary men. So let's zoom in for a second on that word ordinary. Ordinary men. The Greek word is idiótés. Idiótés. A layperson. Like now it means stupid. Like in our society, in our culture, it kind of means stupid. It wasn't, well, we'll see here. It was a layperson. It was unlearned, unskilled, unprofessional, ignorant. That's where we get the connection to kind of stupid. But ignorant, meaning that these people that were with Jesus, these idiótés, they were not a part of their schools. They weren't a part of their religious schools. They didn't come up through the ranks. They, in all likelihood, should not have been the ones to be standing up, teaching and talking about God. And so these people who did go to these religious schools, this is a tough pill for these guys to swallow. How could this crew of people surrounding Jesus, this crew, these fisher guys, these whoever guys, how were these people the ones who are turning everything upside down? How could God possibly use these people? As we're going to talk about Jesus recruiting yet another unlikely guy into his inner circle, we're going to see here that the religious are not going to like when this guy comes in either. We're going to read Matthew's account because this is the story about himself. Tax collectors, I mean, it's kind of like today, right? Nobody's like, yeah, I want the IRS agents to be my best friends because I want them to audit all my stuff. No, they don't. We don't typically do that kind of a thing. And back then, tax collectors were seen similarly. Actually, they were seen worse. They were considered the lowest status among the Jews, and they were considered traitors to God's own people. How dare you? As we're going to see here, Jesus has such a profound impact on Matthew's life that Matthew has a party at his own house. Matthew's going to invite all of his underworld, all of his kind of seedy business buddies to come to this party to have an encounter with Jesus themselves. Now, when you get a bunch of sinners in the room, do you think there's some interesting things going on? You think there was some choice language that was probably happening in corners of that party? Do you think Jesus covered his ears and ran out of the room because somebody said a bad word? Do you? No. Jesus, he meets them exactly where they're at. And it's so beautiful.